Hi, my name is Daria Encinas. This is my focus final project. Like you see, it's about the shadow of Edgar Allan Poe in my own experience. Well, I have to say that I found the inspiration in scenario 8 of book 4. Well, when I was 10 years old, I had to do school homework. I had to do the research about a writer and a summary of a tale or a book. Well, I remembered that homework at 6 p.m. the day after the due date. Well, like almost child used to do. And in my desperation, I asked for help to my dad. And after he gave me a reproach, he just told me that my tools for do that homework were in the library. Well, remember that by time we didn't have internet. So I took an encyclopedia, and that's how I met Edgar Allan Poe. My father has many books with short stories, and my biggest task was searching among those books one short story which I could read and make the summary. Well, that's when the magic happens. That's how I felt at that time, because in the first book I took, the first tale I read was one of Edgar Allan Poe. I had always thought that it was meant to be, because it was because of that research that I grew in some way, and it shows me the wonderful world of reading. So now I wanna recreate that research and show you the biography and the summary that I did at that time. Edgar Allan Poe was an American writer, best known for his poems and short stories about mystery and horror. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts. His parents died when he was 3 years old, and John and Frances, a successful tobacco merchantess, and his wife raised him. He went to University of Virginia, where he dedicated to drinking and gamble. Then he joined to the USA Army, but that time he published his first book. He returned home when his stepmother died. In that time, the relationship between he and his stepfather, which never was good, ended with taking Edgar out of his will. Poe was the first writer who tried to live only for right. That's why he always struggled with financial problems. He traveled around in search of opportunities. He lived in New York City, in Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Richmond. He was struggled like usually with financial problems when he won a contest. That's why he became famous and found a job like editor. His jobs never last because his way to be and because his drinking problems. He get married with his cousin Virginia. He was dedicated to her, and she was the inspiration of many of his works, until she gets sick and died of tuberculosis. His death is a mystery. He was found in Baltimore in great distress. He was taken to the hospital when he died. His last words were, "God help my poor soul." The character Oinos tells the story that begins by saying, "The year had been a year of terror, and of feelings more intense than terror, of which there is no name upon of the earth. For many prodigies and signs had taken place, and far and wide over the sea and land, the black wings of the pestilence were spread abroad." He and his last friends, 7 men, were reunited in a hall in the city of Ptolemais. They were drinking but feeling depressed, because even they had the light from 7 lamps, it seems dark and shadowy. They were seated in a table made of ebony, and they could see their own reflection in the table. They felt safe from the other side world because of the massive door made of brass that was locked. Despite their fear and dread, they were drinking and laughing. But their eighth friend, the young Solus, was lying before them. But they suddenly realized there is a night figure in the room, something shadowy, and this shadow isn't any shadow of a man or a god. Eventually, the shadow covers the door, blocking their escape, and over against the feet of their lying friend. At first, they act like it was their imagination, until Oinos asked for the name and origin of the shadow, and it responded,
"I am the shadow, and my dwelling is near the catacombs of Ptolemy, and hard by those dim plains of the illusion which border upon the foul Coronian Canal."
The 7 men bolted from their chairs in horror. The tones in the voice of the shadow were not the tones of any one being, but of a multitude of beings, and varying in their cadence from syllable to syllable, fell duskly upon our ears in the well-reminded of familiar accents of many thousand disparate friends. And that's how the story ends. And for you and for many people, it maybe doesn't mean anything, but for me, it changed my life. In addition to being my first research, it turned on the flame for reading and learning. After reading his biography and some of his stories, I could realize how he used his fear, his hurt, his joy, his love, and translated in his work. He was perseverant against all, and he truly believed in his talent. That's why I get the curiosity of keep on reading more about him. Well, to conclude, it's because his books and stories that I lost the fear to fear. It opened my mind to feel compassion and empathy for others. I also learned that not all the love stories have a happy ending, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't love. And the most important is because of his work and this research that I love reading.